YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez and you're watching my YouTube channel, The Teenage Movie Critic, and welcome back to another YouTube channel video, everybody. I'm so excited to have y'all back together again, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a celebration of cinema review for not one, not two, not three, but all four Toy Story films. So, I kind of wanted to do this video back in November last year, for like one of the first two Toy Story films, since both of them came out in November. But at the same time, I'm like, there's so many movies on like one of those release dates that just can't fit into it, and I won't be able to get into it until like after high school, after I'm like done with high school. But I remembered the other two Toy Story films, 3 and 4, released in June of those years. So I thought, why not use those release dates in order to talk about them? And I thought that was an excellent idea, which one of them I wanted to do on Wednesday, but I was at Disney World, but I was coming back Friday, so maybe I'll have some time to do it then. And I decided, you know what, I pretty much came back at 10 p.m. yesterday, so here we are going to be talking about Toy Story. These movies have meant a lot to me. I haven't talked a lot about these movies on my channel before, but truly and honestly, these are just fantastic films that have so many great things, and I'm so excited to talk about them. So let's go ahead and get started talking about all four Toy Story films, and we're going to start off with the story. And yeah, the story of all four films is what makes these movies so great. And it's in the name, so let's just talk about it. But one thing's for certain, when it comes to the story of Toy Story, for all four films, there's really three things that make the stories work. One, it has a specific genre that they're tackling. The second one is the idea of toys, and really the story of acceptance, which we'll talk more in a little bit. And the third idea is just the location that we're in with the toys and the environment that we're around it. So with the first Toy Story, the genre is basically a buddy movie, as we're basically with Buzz and Woody the entire time, and it just really works as Woody kind of develops that he is this favorite toy, but realizes he doesn't really have a lot of friends. And so this realization makes that friendship with him and Buzz, as they accept that both can be cool. And I thought that was kind of an interesting take on things. And honestly, it gets better with every other movie. With the story, with the first Toy Story, I think it introduced us to this world so well, because you got to see how this nice kid treats his toys in accurate playtime of how we played with our toys when we were little, but you can also see of how they react to certain things. As in the opening of the first Toy Story, Andy, the kid that plays with toys, is having a birthday party. Why is this such a big thing? Because when it comes to what is with birthday parties and Christmas mornings? Presents. And what form of presents can you get from that? New toys. So the form of that, in order to help, in order to not, and the reason why getting new toys is such a big thing is because if you get a new toy, you can get replaced. Woody thinks they can get replaced. He's not going to get replaced because I'm the favorite toy. Why would I get replaced? But then Buzz Lightyear comes in, and a whole lot of things start to change, and his whole identity gets switched around, where he slowly stops becoming the favorite toy, and he also realizes that the people that he was leading aren't actually his friends. He's only leading them because he is the favorite toy, and if you want to get respect, you have to earn it. And honestly, as you see it throughout the whole film, up until when they're trying to catch up with the van, and you realize, like, wait, Woody was telling the truth. It's such good storytelling. And I just love the acceptance that he finally accepts. Andy can love both me and Buzz, which is kind of the conflict of saying Western and space can both be cool, and we can both like them equally. It's kind of like Marvel and DC. Marvel and DC both have shared things, but we can like them. They're both cool. And then when it comes to the location, I like that this one had a little bit more smaller locations where you basically are in Andy's room most of the time, on Andy's bed. You go to Pizza Planet where you're going to Sid's house, which I think all three, really the two locations that we're in, I think all of them work really well, and they have, where Andy's room just has this righteousness thing. It's just really cool, and just feels like a true imagination. But then you get to Sid's house and it just feels like a horror movie as you have all these toys mixed up and everything. It's just wild. And then we get to the second movie, and I think that this one, of course, when it comes to the genre, we're mixing in Western, but also mixing in space, where we're exploring more of the lore of where Woody came from, but also exploring more of where Buzz came from with the opening of the Buzz Lightyear video game that Rex plays. And I think the usage of both of these is awesome, because you get a lot of Star Wars references with the Buzz stuff, but then you also get a lot of great funness in seeing past clips of Woody's Roundup in this show that he used to be in and where he came from. And I thought it was used excellently, and celebrating both of those. And honestly, it's like, whenever I think of that, I think of this movie, and this truly perfects what Toy Story is. When it comes to the actual story, I thought this one actually is a bit more emotional than all the other Toy Story films combined, as it's a story about abandonment as to toy life with a child won't last forever, and it is explored beautifully with Jesse's backstory, which I think is one of the saddest things, but also one of the most gorgeous things. But just because it won't last forever doesn't mean that it's not going to be good. You should still let it last until it ends, which I think leads beautifully into the third film. And then for the locations, man, the locations in this film are epic. You're on Andy's room. You're going to Al's toy barn. You're going into Al's apartment through the little tunnel things. You're going to the airport, from the bag luggage to the plane, from getting off a plane. The locations in here are just fantastic. And so it's epic in size, and they're a lot more exciting too. When we get to the third film, when it comes to the genre, it's basically a prison break movie, which I think that's also a great thing of what this movie does so well, is kind of making you feel like these characters are going to die, which I think it does beautifully. But also when it comes to the story of this movie, I think that this story is used really well, as the story is, Andy's got to go to college, but the toys are also wondering, we haven't been playing with in years, what's our next step after he goes to college? Are we just going to stay in the attic, and is Woody just going to go to college with Andy? Like, what's the next step? The next step they think they should do is go to a daycare, since they have toys, they're younger, which means there won't be any heartbreak. But they also didn't think for a second that what this daycare could be, as it is corrupted by a Lotso-hugging bear that smells like strawberries, and basically has this whole thing that he basically was replaced and caused, and whenever new toys come in, he sends them to the caterpillar room and gives them torture. What a great thing to do for new toys. And I love that as it switches up and it's like, man, these characters are so corrupt. And you realize all these other characters, they're not evil because they are. They're evil because of Lotso, and that he corrupted the whole place and corrupted the whole system. And he's by far one of the best villains, but we'll talk about that more on the character side of things. But I just love the prison break thing, where we get all the fun moments with all the little characters. Every character that they're using makes sense in light of the plot. But then when it gets into the emotional stuff of like going into the garbage dump, going into the metal thing, and then almost going into the incinerator, but being saved by the aliens with the claw, it is fantastic. And then even realizing, and also with Toy Story 2, Woody accepts that it won't last forever, but he won't miss it for the world. In this film, Woody is accepting, I can't be with Andy forever. I have to be with my friends, and we're gonna go live with Bonnie. And as Andy pulls out his toys and plays with them one last time and introduces them to Bonnie, and gives Woody to Bonnie, it's an excellent way to end off their relationship, all of them with the toys and Andy, and give them to Bonnie. It's a perfect way to end this trilogy. And then also just the locations. I thought sending the toys to a daycare was a fun, interesting take where it just feels like this wonderful place, but it's actually very corrupt. I thought that was an excellent way to do a twist on that story. And then when it comes to Toy Story 4, there's not really like a specific genre that I particularly loved. It's Carnival. The story here I thought was interesting of exploring lost toys, and they explore that really much with Bo Peep and all these other fun characters, especially with like Gabby Gabby. But what I also loved is with Gabby Gabby's character, she thinks, and Woody, they both think that they have just one purpose, but realize you can make a new change and give another kid a chance. And that's what Woody's decision makes in the film, that the stuff with Bonnie's not working anymore, so he needs to go give kids more love to everywhere around the world. And I think that's an excellent job to tell a story. I thought that was really cool. With the location, I thought the carnival and the antique store was actually pretty fun. It was, and especially with the animation that they crafted with it, I thought was just overall really good. And that's pretty much the greatness of all the stories of these movies. And he also accepts that Bonnie won't love me, but I know I can still do what I love just to lots of other kids. Now, when it comes to the characters, I don't really have too much to say on them. Just, of course, all of them are fun. I love that these movies, what they do so well is that they craft characters that are so likable. They're so funny, but then they can rip your heart out and make you care about them so much. Like, and it really started that in Toy Story 2, where we introduced Jessie. She's such a fun character. But whenever Woody mentions something about Andy or going back to his kid, she kind of like panics and gets kind of mad about it because she had an experience with a kid. And it didn't end well because she grew up, she moved on, she went to college, and she forgot about her. Her owner forgot about Jessie. And it's so sad. And it makes you care about them, but at the same time it's like, you understand their reasonings, yet there's no reason to not want to do that. Even with Lotso, where he made his way back to Daisy, and he got replaced, and so he blames that on Chuckles and Big Baby, and he makes them feel guilty about what happened, and he's been lying, and he basically corrupted Sunnyside. I thought, like, wow, that's just so evil. And even with Gabby Gabby and Bo Peep, like, they feel like they have this one purpose, but you don't have to cling to one kid. You can cling to so many kids, make many kids happy. That's the brilliance of this. And so I think that's and also with the personality of the characters and the way they're treated, I love the way that it portrays that. Every video I keep seeing about that, it's so interesting. But that's really the only thing I have to say about the characters, because, like I said, I like the characters in these movies, but I don't really have a lot to say about them. Of course, Buzz and Woody are great, and just all the little side characters, they're funny and hilarious. Ducky and Bunny are great. They're all just great characters. They're icons.
Drop that.
When it comes to the Toy Story movies, the animation isn't quite the most impressive thing when you're talking about a Toy Story movie. Nobody goes up and says, the animation was gorgeous in this Toy Story movie. I can't believe it. But the reason why I have to talk about it in this video is because you gotta remember, the first Toy Story was so important for computer animation, since it was the first computer animated film. And that basically set up, because if Toy Story didn't work, the rest of Pixar would be nothing. They wouldn't get classic, and that would later on get films like Monsters, Inc., where we got to experiment with doing hair on Sully. then they continued that with Finding Nemo and how to figure out how to animate water. And even with The Incredibles, where they were able to animate humans, where they weren't really doing animated movies with humans at the time. And so they figured out all these little techniques. And it's kind of crazy because I'm like, around this time, computers at that time were kind of slow. And so it's like, the way that they were able to create all this stuff was so fantastic. And all this was created during the early ages of computers. And it's so well done. But even more to that, with every Toy Story film, you can see the animation getting better. Of course, the first film, I think, still looks pretty good for 1990s, for a 1995 film. But then you get Toy Story 2, and it just looks really good. And then the third film looks really good. And then all of a sudden, we go on to Toy Story 4, and it's the best-looking Toy Story film out there. As you see the light reflecting off of them, the shots of the carousel are, sorry, there's a fly in here. It's all gorgeous with the lighting and everything, especially when I put that lights thing, it was just so beautiful. The animation in these movies, the way that it sets the game for animation, it's gorgeous. I think it's great. Now, when it comes to the score and the music, I think the score and the music for these movies are fantastic. Randy Newman is a great composer. The score for all four Toy Story films, I think, are fantastic. They're so memorable, they're so iconic, and they have these great melodies. But even just also the songs, I mean, You've Got a Friend in Me, Strange Things Are Happening to Me, especially all of the songs in Toy Story 1 are just so iconic. Toy Story 2, Woody's Roundup, the score for Buzz Lightyear, or even the third film with We Belong Together, or even just the score when they're going down the incinerator, fantastic score, so emotional. But also, the song and score in the original, in the Toy Story 4, I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away, great song. But also, I love the score as it kind of recalls back to past films. I personally loved the score for all four Toy Story films. And the final thing we'll talk about here of Toy Story movies is, I think what these movies do so well is they're able to craft such entertaining bits. When it comes to the first movie, you have all these, the best thing about all these movies is the comedy and the fantastical moments, but also the emotionalness of it. When it comes to the comedy, I was rewatching the first Toy Story, and I'm like, I actually kind of forgot of how funny this was, and also just how quotable it was. But when it comes to the fantastical moments, you have a Buzz Lightyear toy flying with a Woody toy and shooting up at the sky that's tied to a rocket. And then they fly down and they're gliding to Andy's van. And it's so crazy of how this is able to work. But then you also got Toy Story 2 as you got Buzz and Woody riding on Bullseye, trying to go save Jessie. And it's such this heroic moment, but it's so awesome because it's and especially with the music that's playing, it's so cool. Even in the third film, as you see these toys are about to die, but then they get saved by this giant claw. Who would have known that this would have worked? But then also, you get the fourth movie, which I don't really think does as fantastic a moments. It's a little bit more funnier, where you have Duke Kaboom riding off this little Ferris wheel, and he makes it these movies just do such a fantastic job of doing these great things that you probably can only do in animation that works and makes for awesome moments. So for me, all four of these movies are great. I love them so much. If you want to know what my favorite Toy Story movie is, you'll have to wait when you watch the Pixar ranking that I'll be posting later today. But that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. If you like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.